Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I'd done this already. I went through this story, but then I went back and I read the original article. Let me read this one first to you guys, and then I'm going to go back and read the other one, and we're going to see how much this lady is, literally taking out of context what the other person said. Let's start with this blogger wants us to stop turning hang on. This blogger wants us to stop turning boys into girls. Let's take a collective deep breath for diving into its enraging topic. Well, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. While innocently patrolling the internet, is there any other way to patrol the internet? Or is there a guilty way to patrol the internet? I came across a blog post that made my blood boil. Well, good for you. Are you dead? Because you said your blood was boiling? Destiny Morris, who writes for the Fugal Destiny, I'm guessing it's a blog named after herself, blog penned a post entitled, "Stop Turning Your Little Boys into a Little Girl." Well, we'll see about that. I'm going to give you the grits to spare you the pain of reading it. Number 1, Destiny is pregnant and making a Pinterest board for her baby. Knowing the gender of her baby, she makes the board, one for a boy, one for a girl. And this fact is wrong, or this statement is wrong. Destiny finds out her baby is a girl and is super pleased, and then mourns for the loss of the boy. Things she now has to ditch. Not quite so. Destiny descends into an increasingly bigoted rant that begins with boys shouldn't wear tutus. And no, her rant really isn't that bigoted. Yours is more bigoted than hers is, and ends with her saying that boys shouldn't be shown empathy. And bullies are an illusion, and this is batshit. No, that's not what she's saying at all. As a mother of a rambunctious little boy, I would like to point out 5 relative minor things she seems to have missed in the whole human emotions. Here goes. Okay, I read through this one, then I went back and I read through most of hers, and wow, is this one so wrong. Who is this? Donné Restom. So fancy dancy. You gotta have a little in your name. Okay. Emotional sensitivity is a strength, not a weakness. She writes, if he was a naturally sensitive and emotional person, well, he would have probably grown to hate his parents. He would have been taught that only babies and girls cry, and we would have known that his mother thought very little of a man who openly expresses his emotions with tears. That statement blatantly has issues in it. Destiny, didn't you know the biggest killer of men under 45 is suicide? Why? Because they have been brought up in a culture that says expressing feelings equals weakness. Oh, and this guy in the picture below, he's a footballer, by the way. So he's holding up an OK sign. The single biggest killer of men under age 45 is suicide. In 2014, 4,623 men took their own life. That's 12 men every day. 1 man every 2 hours. 41% of men who contemplated, there we go, get out of their word, suicide, felt that they couldn't talk about their feelings. It ain't weak to speak. It's okay to talk. Yeah, there's a big difference between talking to someone, and we'll see once we get over there. Take a selfie with the sign in it, the OK sign. Tag 5 friends. Let's get the message out that it's okay to talk. This is another retorted hashtag that will do absolutely nothing for anybody. Hopefully together we can bring these numbers down. We need everyone's support all over the world. I nominate blah, blah, blah. Well, I tell you what. I don't know if your thing is true, but let's see real quick here. 45, or no, let's go top killer of men. See, because you don't cite where you get this stat from. What's the biggest killer of men under 45? This here is cause of death by age groups. All males united. Let's see here. Let's go. Suicide, 6% for 45 to 54. 11%. Well, see, you're wrong. You know what this list shows? Which is by the leading cause of death by age group, all males in the United States for 2010. Okay, I'm a little off of you, but still. Unintentional injuries is, yeah, pretty much the highest across the board. Yep, across the board. Pretty much until the age of 40, at 45 and higher. 45, it becomes heart disease. Then as you go up to 64, cancer. 65, heart disease. Cancer, heart disease. So, unintentional injuries. Then from, let's see, we got the second ranked, birth defects, cancer, homicide, suicide. Okay, so 25 to 34, the second highest is suicide. At 20 to 24 is suicide. Yeah, it's about the third ranked for even 10 to 14. And then, of course, suicide is nowhere on people below 9 years old. And I'm going to guess a lot of these suicides are probably from, let's see, who makes this study? Who is this? This is from edc.gov. So this is a table from the EDC. Or is that EDC? Yeah, or CDC, excuse me. I can't read this morning along with talk. So right there, you're, well, for 2010, let's see if we can find one for under 45. Biggest killers in 2014. Heart disease, coronary heart disease is the biggest killer cause among 74,000 deaths a year in the UK. 200 people dying. Well, see, that's the UK. Leading cause. Let's try. Let's see, leading causes of, let's see, okay, here we got the CDCs, we got 2013, they don't have 2014 up yet, but let's see, all males, let's just click on this one here, this is the males. Number one, leading cause of death in males in the United States is 24% is heart disease, cancer, unintentional injury. Let's see. Suicide is down 7th on the list. Okay, let's see if I can find that graph again. Nope. Not that one. And I'll try to remember to put some links to this, but all you got to do is go to the CDC. And okay, here we go. This 2013 study. And nowhere unintentional injuries from age 1, let's see, all the way up to 44. Unintentional injuries is top. Then you got up 45 to 54 is heart disease. 55 to 64 is cancer. 65 plus is heart disease. 65 to 74 is cancer. 60 or 75 to 84 cancer. 85 plus is heart disease. And then, so the number one killer all ages is heart disease, cancer. Let's see, suicide is down at 7. And this is 2013, so I don't see that many more suicides. Let's go and see by age. Okay, although suicide I do say is climbing for 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 34. Suicide is ranked number 2. Then at 35 to 44, it's 3. Then 45 to 54, it's down to 4th place. And then by 64, it is dropped down to 8. And then it pretty much, because there's almost no suicides after, except for people that, yeah, there's really not much suicides after 65 plus. So, your stat is wrong, although it is the second biggest killer, not the first. Okay. So, empathy is not just for girls. I've been noticing it is more and more recently moms who coddle their young boys. Destiny continues. Moms who hug them and hold them and rock them when they smash their finger or stub a toe. Moms who treat their young men with the same empathy and sympathy that should only be shown towards girls. I'm sorry, ladies, but do you know what kids whose childhood lack empathy or physical affection grow up to be? Psychopaths. They grow up to be psychopaths. Destiny, find me a serial killer who has come from a genuinely open and empathetic family. Well, being I just seen a show that says that there's a lot more serial killers than we even know of. Yeah, there's a very good chance of that. Let's see here. Affection to be psychopath. I know there's quite a few psychopaths that came from loving home. Because a lot of times we have found that some of these people can be smothered to the point that the smothering causes them See, right here is something from NBC News. It's psychopath may be influenced by bad home environments, but also can be from seemingly happy homes. See, it can swing either way. You can be too much one way or too much another way, and you will get serial killers. Because, like, Dahmer had a normal upbringing. Let's see, Harold Shipman, there was nothing that said he had nothing but a loving relationship with his mother. They're out there. So start eating your hat. Start eating it. Let's see here. Okay, the guy that is known as the BTK killer, as far as I can tell, he came from a perfectly normal, loving home. His name's Dennis Rader. Kind of looks like a mix between George Costopoulos and the old guy from Breaking Bad. But back on topic. When I allow my son to wear whatever he wants, I am not doing him a disservice. Actually, yes, you are. If your son wants to go run around nude and he runs outside, are you not doing his a disservice? Is she telling him that he can wear whatever he wants whenever he wants when some places do have dress standards? You're doing him a great disservice. Call it closed-minded, call it bigotry. I don't care, but Max wouldn't have been caught dead in a tutu. A lot of people believe that. Whether he believed that's what he wanted or not. Well, because a tutu is actually a female dress for dancers. Male dancers don't wear tutus. That's what he wanted to wear or not. Destiny writes, she goes on to say, you're not only doing your son a disservice by teaching him it's okay to dress up like a girl. Destiny please refer to the illustration below, the warrior wearing a skirt. Number one, that is a picture of Mel Gibson in the movie Braveheart. Not only is it a picture of Mel Gibson in the movie Braveheart, but the guy he is portraying was a Scottish. Ask a Scottish if he's wearing a skirt and you are likely to get punched in the face. That usually pisses them off pretty good because it is not a skirt, it is a kilt. They are not the same things. They are not even close. It is a traditional wear for a Scotsman to wear a kilt and the sash that goes over their shoulder. Those are traditional Scottish wears. Wearing a skirt doesn't make you a sissy. Image, Icon Entertainment. Oh my God, you were wrong on so many levels on that one. To divide sports by gender is divisive to both boys and girls. No, it's not. Because boys and girls, in most physical sports, there are some sports where they can evenly compete at. Don't get me wrong. Like, well, stuff, they call it a sports, but it's more of a game. Like, volleyball would not be one. Basketball would not be one. Surfing would be a sport where guys and girls would be the same. Skateboarding would be a sport where guys and girls would be the same. Now, if you have teams that are mixed, like say in soccer with both boys and girls, that would be fine. But you wouldn't want an all-boy soccer team going up against an all-girl soccer team. You see, there are differences. Then she decries that her fictional boy would only participate in a boys' activities such as football, baseball, and wrestling. Added, you can bet your ass he wouldn't have been seen inside of a dance studio or not been allowed to try out for high school cheerleading squad. Now, if there's no other boys or males on this squad and it's not normal in this area for men to be on a cheerleading squad, I don't have a problem with that. And the same for the local dance studios. But I would never shy a kid away that wants, male or female, that wants to learn dancing, because dancing is something that both men and women do. Even ballet. One of the greatest ballet dancers of all time is actually a male. Not only is he male, he's a freaking Russian, and for some reason, I can't think of his name right now. And I got that stupid damn rap battle song going through my head, and I said, Borshnikov. What is it? No, it's not Borshnikov. Was it Borshnikov? I don't know. Yeah, Yeah, Borshnikov. Okay. Really? Now, there are many things out about this statement that is terrifying, but for me, yeah, see, they're terrifying. You are traumatized by this statement. Shows that you may need a therapist if you don't already go to one. Terrifies me, but for the purposes of this article, let me point this out. Take a look at the picture below. Note this guy has probably studied dance and would have made an excellent cheerleader. Well, that's because gymnastics is at the core of dancing, or can be at the core of dancing, and gymnastics can be at the core of cheerleading. A matter of fact, a lot of stuff cheerleaders do, or at least big times that would have males on their team, are gymnastics. A form. Tumbling and twirls and whirls and flips and bips and bobs and boops and whatever you call all the moves. Now, do male and female gymnasts compete against each other? No, they do not. The women compete against women and the men compete against men. Dividing sports by gender is not divisive. It is making a level playing field. Look at the goober transsexual in the MMA and the response his opponent gave when he beat the crap out of the female. She said she has never, ever been hit so hard as by the guy that got the sex change. Why? Because he is still a male. He still has a far greater muscle density and is far stronger than the woman. Just because he got a removedectomy or adipocytomy, whichever way you want to call it, didn't diminish his ability and didn't diminish the capacity of his muscles. So it literally gave him a leg up. This guy may not be great at wrestling, or he may be. No reason why not. But if it really came down into it, in a battle for survival, I'm putting my money on this guy, the guy who can fly. I don't give a shit if you can fly. When it comes to survival, and we're going to see this where she's getting this from, but I would put my money on her daughter and the things that she's going to teach her daughter over this guy, because this guy might have the slightest clue how to plant something. He may not know how to skin an animal, how to hunt. He might know how to tumble, but what good's that going to do you other than maybe sending him down the hill to get the water? Okay, the idea that pink is for girls is a stupid marketing construct that needs to end. It is not a marketing construct, you moron. And if I can find it, I'm going to post a link in the description to a video that Tildeer did where he talks about this. The Destiny declares he never owned a pink item, even if it was his favorite color. I've had pink shirts before. It's no big deal. It was one I actually picked out. I don't really have a problem with a boy liking pink so much. I mean, my daughter tells me that I'm wrong for, my 7-year-old daughter tells me that I'm wrong because my two favorite colors is black and purple. And she goes, Dad, you can't like purple. Purple's is for girls. To which I reply, no. Purple is for everybody. But, that's a personal choice. My boy don't care for pink. He's partial to green and blue. And it's nothing particular we did, but he'll still play with his sister's pink toy. He was in the living room playing with her pink Barbie RV. And there's no big deal about it. Let's see. She goes on. In fact, up till 1940, boys were the ones that wear pink. It was considered the stronger color. But enough with facts. Yes, and there is a lot of history behind this. Boys actually wore outfits that look like dresses. For a lot of history, pink was not actually considered a girl color, and if you look at a lot of really old photos, let's see here, like this is actually a picture of a boy, and he is wearing what equates to a dress. You know, back when it was a lot harder to make clothes, people commonly, for small children, didn't distinguish between boy and girl. This is a recent construct. That's why, let's get back to here. That was one you've probably seen already. I'm keeping these up here so I can keep the link. In the 1940s, at some point, you know, and clothes were starting to become easier to make, so it was easier to have boy clothes versus girl clothes for children that were growing up. Sometime in the 1940s, about, I don't know when because I don't have it in front of me, the feminist movement took the color pink because part of their thing was to take stuff from men, or from what was seen as male. I don't know why you would take something that was seen as a boy versus maybe trying to take blue, something that would be a more manly statement, but they went with pink. Let's see, 1940, boys were the ones in a pink. It was considered the strong color. Again, I will link you to the Tildeer if I can. But enough with facts. Well, see, you're actually wrong there, so you definitely had enough with facts. Who needs facts when you can single-handedly destroy a young man's life purely because some toy manufacturer decided it was easier to make pink a girls-only color? It was not done by a toy manufacturer, you moron. Next time you decide to stereotype an entire gender with offensive sweeping statements, and she did not stereotype a gender with offensive sweeping statements, she put it on the head. Now, does everybody conform to a stereotype? No, they do not. It is a generalization or commonality linked by a particular characteristic, that in this case being male. Suggest you do at least 2 minutes of research first, which is what I would suggest you do. Now, excuse me while I go to the corner, punch a wall, and weep, which will solve absolutely nothing other than you just broke your hand because you're a moron. Oh, how can you print this dribble? Now, we're going to scroll back up here and click on that, which will take us to our site. Now, like I said, there is a couple things I disagree with her on, but that's okay. See, this is her. She has her own site, her own blog site, which is cool. Okay. Stop turning your little boy into a little girl. Dear moms, your sons are boys. Stop treating them like girls. Okay. So, it's been nearly 2 years since I realized I was pregnant with B. And although I knew I was having a child, it would still be over 3 months before I learned whether she would be a boy or a girl. 3 months of name planning with the hubby. 3 months of searching for 2 perfect cribs. 3 months of planning the bedroom theme for both a boy and a girl. And I remember doing this, and you end up bickering over the name. Hubby and I had a bet. He bet B was a boy, I bet B was a girl, and the stakes were high. We almost never went out to eat, but winner got to pick a restaurant to celebrate on the following Saturday because normally people tend to eat at home. From the sounds of it, this family is very centered on, eating at home and just generally normal family type activities. I'd say she probably cooks every meal, so it is rare that they go out to eat. Let's see. The day of the ultrasound seemed to draw out. My appointment wasn't until 4:15, over 12 hours. I woke up that morning. I remember being so excited to finally leave work. Headed to the hospital. All I cared about was learning the gender and what we were having. We actually knew that our son had a birth defect before we knew his gender because he was very ultrasound shy. But his genetic, I'm going to call it a genetic defect because it has a tendency to run in the family, although nowhere nearly as bad as my son had it. But he was born healthy and fine, just in case you're wondering. And I remember being so excited about that day myself, and then every time, nope, not today, nope, not today. And then finally, I think we were down to the last 2 months, or last month, right before he was born, is when we finally found out that he was male. And our daughter, it wasn't that big of a deal. She was there saying, hey, she's a camera. She loves having her picture taken. So, but let's get back to the story. After that day, my baby would no longer be an it. It would be a he or a she. Which, how else are you going to respond to other than calling it a baby? Once we got to the hospital, we were in the waiting room for about 15 minutes. Then we had to wait patiently for nearly 2 more hours while the new ultrasound tech in training struggled to complete a procedure that normally takes about 30 minutes. We've all had to deal with the person in training. Finally, after what seemed like forever, the woman overseeing the training, the newbie, asked if we wanted to know the gender. Hubby and I both replied with an urgent yes. The more experienced technician took the wand from the new guy, rolled it around on my belly for a couple of seconds, and stopped. Do you see that? She asked. This was my first child. I had no clue what I was looking at. I remember saying something like, to the extent of, sure, yeah, I see something, I guess. Which, if you've never seen ultrasounds or your first time, they can be very hard to read. She asked if we knew what it meant, and we both sort of gave her a confused look. You're having a girl, she said. Immediately, I looked at my husband, began my verbal celebration. I won. I got to pick the restaurant. Ooh, in your face. These two seem to have a very good relationship. In all honesty, I didn't care whether our child was a boy or a girl. Hubby was the one who initiated the bet, and he was... Oh my goodness, I can't stop yawning this morning. He was the one who really hoped our little bee would be a little Max. After 5 miscarriages in 8 years without answers, I'm simply happy to have a healthy baby, regardless of gender. Now, having a family member that had multiple miscarriages, I can tell you that in and of itself can greatly affect how somebody's outlook when we get to the next part here in the Pinterest. Plus the fact that they're crazy with hormones. If you ain't never had to deal with some of the crazy shit pregnant women on hormones go through. Whew. On the drive home from the hospital, I started telling my family members the gender of our unborn child. I texted him, blah, blah, blah. We went home and life went on. I showered, made dinner, I watched some TV. Then I got on Pinterest. My woman recently discovered Pinterest, Lord help me. Hobbies everywhere. I had created 3 boards when I found out I was pregnant. See, you remember the other lady said 2? Well, there was 3. There was a general baby and parenting board, a board for B, and a board for Max. You know, so that way they could start picking out everything they wanted. Once they knew the sex, they could go boom, 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 and buy it. Max didn't even exist, so I decided I didn't need to delete the board. As I scrolled through the pins on the board, I just couldn't bring myself to delete any of it. The rustic crib, the different styles of rustic crib, the hubby decided on one so cute, the mounted stuffed animal heads, all the camo overalls and flannel onesies. We had big plans for Max. He was going to be a boy and treated as such. As I sat at my computer staring at all the little boy things, I began to feel sad. And this is going back to probably her 5 miscarriages over 8 years. Probably the fact that this might be the only kid she's going to have. Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe the fact that a lot of people really like to have a boy because they're proud of their family name. And they want to pass it on. We had big plans for Max. He was going to be a boy and treated as such. I sat at my computer staring at all the little boy things. I began to feel sad. I looked over at hubby and told him deleting the board felt like I was killing someone. At this point, she's emotionally developed into this character that she created. Someone who I've never met and would never meet. Someone who didn't even exist. Yeah, which, you know, if you have another baby at a further point, you might get a boy and name him Max. He laughed at me that he made fun of me. Like I said, they got a fairly good relationship here, it seems like. My husband isn't exactly the sensitive type. Yeah, it would be standard for a male to go, yeah, so? And honestly, I tried to avoid wearing my emotions on my sleeve, too. His sarcasms and jokes snapped me out of my hormone-induced emotional state, and I too began to make fun of what I just said. Because you actually got emotionally attached to a non-existent person. This is part of where she's going with this. Deleted. And there it was. With the click of the button, the idea of Max died. The football games, the baseball practices, hunting, fishing, catching frogs, snakes, scrapes up the knees, broken bones, school suspension, his first fight, his first girlfriend, his wife, and the kids who would carry on our last name, my little boy. He had never existed and he never would. And I don't think that's her. I think that's just a random picture. Yeah, see, that's just a random picture she picked. I'm a firm believer in the ideas that boys and girls are very different, which they are. We are a dimorphic species. We are very different, but a lot of people think we should be treated and raised the same. Here's one problem. There have been studies where they have actually gave boys girl toys and they refused them, and vice versa, or they put them in rooms and the boys naturally went to the boy toys and the girls naturally went to what girl toys. What do you think these toy companies, do you think it was some evil scheme of theirs that, oh, these are boys only toys, these are girl only toys? No, they went, okay, research shows us that boys like this kind of toy and girls like this kind of toy. And then you have some kids in the middle, so they'll make an in-between model. That is where they got this from. It wasn't some evil scheme by a toy company. I believe they should be treated as different people. They should be treated as different people but they should be treated equally. Boys should be raised as if they will one day be men, and girls should be raised as if they will one day be women. Call it close-minded, call it bigoted, I don't care. But Max wouldn't have been caught dead in a tutu. And I guarantee you there's a lot of people with that sentiment, women and men. Whether he believed that's what he wanted to wear or not. I'm sorry, but a part of being a responsible parent is making sure your kid wears appropriate things. And a boy wearing a tutu, not so much. Sorry, Jen Anderson's, whoever the hell you are, but you're not doing your son any diversity by teaching disservice. You are doing your son a disservice. I can't freaking read today. What the hell? By teaching him it's okay to dress up like a girl. Yeah, if your son dresses up like a girl and gets made fun of, guess what? You just did him a disservice. But by teaching your son that there are standards to dress, there are ways you should dress and shouldn't dress, there are things you should and shouldn't do, that is called being a good parent. And yes, I'm still going to teach my daughter how to do some things that might be considered by some to be boyish and manly. And this is where, because a lot of these, this is where I say that I would rather have her daughter in a survival situation over the guy that does gymnastics. Why? Because does the guy that does gymnastics know how to do any of the following? He will learn how to hunt, how to fish, how to clean an animal, how to skin it. She will also be taught to cook whatever she kills and how to preserve it. These are skills that everybody should know. She will know how to change a tire and handle basic maintenance and upkeep on her vehicle. This is a skill that everybody should know. Because in my mind, these are things only men should know, or activities they should be taken part in. These aren't things only, goddammit, quit skipping words. These are skills that may one day come in very handy. These are skills that could save her life. And they could save the life of her family and everybody else. I recall sometime back in the early 90s, a game show when I was in Japan showed people a corn plant. And they had no idea what it was. Because they'd never seen the plant. If you don't know how to grow your own food, you got a problem as shit hits the fan. If you don't know how to do basic car maintenance, basic house repair, and shit happens, shit hits the fan. Now, what is it? Glenn Beck, I remember him before the one hurricane telling people that they should have, like a 30-day supply of food and blah, blah, blah. And people were making fun of him for that. Well, the hurricane hit and a bunch of people got stranded, and they ended up, these people were dumpster diving to find edible food. Because there was nothing to eat. There was no gas service. There was none of this stuff going on. These people had to rely on themselves, and they didn't have the skills to do it. When I was a kid, we'd walk down into the basement, and we would grab a glass jar with green beans in it. Why? Because we grew it in our garden. We were taught as children how to hunt. Me and my sister both. We were taught how to fish. We were taught how to hunt. We were taught how to cook. Well, I kind of had to learn how to cook myself because my sister sure as hell couldn't cook, and my mom was a mediocre cook. So unless I wanted to starve to death, I had to learn how to cook. And that I did. I was damn good at making biscuits. Okay. I don't mean to sound like one of those the end is near as loonies, and as I just pointed out, a survival situation can happen just because of a natural disaster. A hurricane, a flood, a tornado where you are basically cut off because of downed trees and food and other items can't be brought into you. But if there is ever a time when we can no longer rely on a grocery store to supply us with our food, my daughter will know how to get food herself. And if she gets a flat tire in the middle of nowhere, she shouldn't need to rely on a stranger's passerby to help her fix it. This being said, multiple times have I gotten calls from a chipmunk, known as my woman, who had something happen or something happened, and I am left with deciphering what she is saying and what happened, because I can't understand her because of the emotional stress she is in, instead of staying cool, calm, and collective. And this will become important here in a minute. Had B been born Max, he would have been expected to participate in boy activities: football, baseball, wrestling. Now, baseball can be, I'll say baseball can go either or. Wrestling is more of a male sport, and football, though I know some girls that can play football, that could get up there with the best of them. Football is more of a male sport. And you can bet your ass he wouldn't have been seen inside of a dance studio or have been allowed to try out for a high school cheerleading squad. I'd uncovered this. A lot of it is depending on the area that you live in and depending on what they have available. If he was naturally sensitive and emotional person, in other words, if he cries at the drop of a fucking hat, well, he would have probably grown up to hate his parents. He had never owned a single pink item. Even if it was his favorite color, he would have been taught that only babies and girls cry. Which, I kind of agree with that. Because as a male, you are expected to be emotionally stable. And although there are things to cry over and about, crying itself does pretty much nothing to aid a situation. He would know that men are supposed to protect and provide for their families. True. He would have learned the term woman's work from his father regarding anything related to cleaning or cooking. And he would have known that his mother thought very little of any man who openly expressed his emotions with tears. Shy of a funeral, a wedding, because you can cry because you're happy, you can cry because you're sad. Shy of some instances like this, yeah, it is bad for you to show emotion with tears, male or female. You broke a nail and you're going to bawl and cry. You had some emotional stress, you're going to bawl and cry. No, that does not help. You get into a wreck and you start bawling and crying. That does not help anybody when they can't understand you. You have a fire and you're so emotionally distraught with crying, you can't even save yourself. That becomes an issue when something happens and you go straight into panic cry mode instead of, okay, what do I need to do? Stay calm. What do I need to do? Okay, we got a fire here. Let's get the fire extinguisher. Pull the pin. Spray it. Recently, the neighbor was at my dad's house working on his friend's car, and they managed to set the car on fire. I handed him an extinguisher while I went to grab the other one, and he was so panicky that he didn't know or couldn't remember to pull the pin. He just threw the fire extinguisher down. So I took the fire extinguisher I'd gotten and started putting the car out, and I needed more. I picked that one up, pulled the pin, and sprayed the fire extinguisher to where I stayed calm and didn't express my emotions, and immediately after started laughing at the 3 early 20, mid 30 adult males who were acting like little girls, no other way to put it, at a car that was on fire and would have let the freaking car burn the building down instead of being cool, calm, and doing what's necessary. I actually got accused of one place I was working, the car backfired through the carburetor and caught on fire. I ran to get an extinguisher. Somebody was, oh, look at him run away. No, I went and got the extinguisher to put it out. Why? Because that's what you do. There's, okay, fire, extinguisher, grab, extinguish. While other people just ran, I grabbed the extinguisher. And that's part of learning to be cool, calm, and collective. If you start to lose control while you're driving and you freak out and start crying, how is that going to help you regain control of your car? It's not, and you're going to crash and possibly hurt yourself or others. To where if you stay cool and go, okay, the rear end's starting to go to the left, so I need to steer to the left. Not too much, start bringing it back, let off the accelerator, bring it back. Okay, we're straight. Now let's slow down, the road's slippery. Instead of doing that, instead of turning the wheel, hitting the gas, slamming on it, well, a lot of people would slam on the brakes. And that's just going to spin you out more. This is part of the things, the stuff like situations like this are why you need to learn to control your emotions, why you need to not wear your emotions on your sleeve, and why you need to not be crying at the drop of a hat. Whether it took or not, we raised him to be a man, the stereotypical old school, most likely chauvinist by today's standard male. Yes, the type of male that made this country, the type of male that took us out of Africa and the Middle East, the type of male that set out and explored the vast oceans, the type of male that explored the far reaches in the cold wilderness. That is what she's talking about. A rare and dying breed. Yes, they are. A man who wouldn't be afraid to stand up for what he believes in, which is a very dying breed, to whatever he needs to keep his family fed, safe, and comfortable. The kind of man I would be proud to see my daughter marry. And it's very true that a male of the old world would put, like, it's very common in old pictures, you will see men and women walking down a sidewalk. And the woman will be on the inside and the male will be on the outside. Why? Because he is protecting her from danger on the outside. And that is very standard. This type of man is hard to find. This isn't how people raise their sons anymore. No. I have been noticing it more and more recently. Moms who coddle their young boys. Moms who hug them and hold them and rock them when they smash their finger or stub the toe. Now, I will say, giving your kid a kiss and a hug, nothing wrong with that. But when you want to sit there and coddle them and baby them, that's because they learn, oh, I just run to mom and she'll coddle and baby me. Moms who treat their young men with the same empathy and sympathy that they should only be shown towards girls. I don't even think you should do that to your girls. I think it would help the women who are more emotionally based than men. It's a fact of life. It's part of what regulates us. Can't help it. And unsurprisingly, as the number of moms seem to grow, so does the number of men who are hurt by words and need safe places and who believes in bullies. If you've seen any of my stuff, you know that I think saying that people need a safe space is bullshit because you shouldn't. Words can't, what's that old saying? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Well, now, words are literally hurting people. How? Emotionally. Because they are so emotionally underdeveloped because they were coddled that words hurt them. You might also it's your own fault your kid is being bullied. Okay, it's absolutely disturbing to see so many men who aren't really men. They're male, they're not men. I feel like one of the luckiest women in the world to having actually found a real strong man, a man who I've never seen cry, a man who doesn't share his feelings unless he has to, a man who wasn't raised to believe in bullies. Okay, see, she didn't say bullies didn't exist, who wasn't raised to believe in bullies. In other words, somebody who is raised to that if a person tries to bully them, they will take a stand and fight back. That is what she means here. Not that she doesn't believe in bully. His parents did an amazing job of creating a real man, and for that I am forever thankful. Moms, please, for the sake of my daughter and for the sake of my future grandchildren, for the sake of America, do us all a favor. Stop treating your sons like girls. Stop turning them into women, which is true. There are a lot of guys out there that are not even qualify as a beta male. I recommend anyone consider leaving leaving a comment. Read my disclaimer before doing so. Don't waste your time writing a comment that will be deleted. Note, this post contains affiliated links. Did you know my daughter isn't allowed to watch TV? Okay. I agree with some of this as far as boys wearing girls' clothes, but as for cooking and cleaning being woman's work, no. She didn't say cooking and cleaning was woman's work. She said her son would have been taught how to cook and clean. Words matter, and people commonly read what they want to and miss the rest. Just like she believes a man who doesn't share his feelings unless he has to. Like I said, weddings, blah, blah, blah. And there are times when going and sharing your feelings to the right people is a good thing. To where you're actually stronger when you see that you're having an issue because you're having trouble dealing with something, even on an emotional level, to talking to someone about it. But see, there are actually professional people for this, although most of them are bad. But sometimes just talking to someone and being strong enough to know when. See, that's something I kind of disagree with her. Knowing when to talk about your emotions and when not to. My cat died. I got a tear. No big deal. I loved my cat. My grandma died. I cried. That would be an appropriate time. I scraped my knee. I didn't cry. I fell 20-some feet to the fucking ground and shattered my pelvis. I didn't cry one fucking time. See, there are times to cry and there are times to not. And I think that's the main point she's trying to get across here. And a man who wasn't raised to believe in bullies. I keep seeing this stuff on bullies. And all I got to say is teach your son how to fight back. My freshman year, someone tried to bully me. He was on the football team. And he was going around beating up the freshmen. Bullying them. I seen him coming. I gave him an uppercut and knocked his ass out. Because I wasn't taking it. I was a skinny, lanky child. I used to have a nickname in the 6th grade, Granddaddy Longlegs, because I had a growth spurt before everybody else. So I've been almost 5'9" since like the 6th grade. So freshman, a few years later, I'm still the skinny 5'9", but see, I'm a farm kid. I grew up on a farm, throwing hay bales and dealing with animals and stuff, so I wasn't a wuss. I reached up and uppercutted his ass while I was getting a drink at the fountain because I seen him coming and he was drawing down on me. He didn't get in trouble because, he's a star player on the football team. Me? I got Saturday school out of it. My punishment was I had to ride my bike the 5 miles into school and 5 miles back. No big deal because I commonly rode that anyways. a year or two prior, before I was in high school. I had one of the high school kids on the bus picking on me. I put him in his place. I got in a little bit of trouble, no big deal. In the 6th grade even, I never took a crap from any bully. I didn't bully anybody, but I never took a crap from a bully. I never took crap from an older student. That's what she's trying to get to. Now, after that incident, and there was one other at a football game where 2 kids from the rival school that were seniors, and I put a beat down on them. After that, I never had to worry about it again. Never once did anybody other than my friends mess with me. So is life. That's what she's trying to get. You can't let a bully get you. Even if you get in trouble for putting a bully in his place, that's okay, because that's doing the right thing. You smack a bully down. But we've come to a point in this country where we believe that, you need to talk to them first. Sometimes you just need to bitch slap somebody. Somebody tries to bully your kid. Teach your kid how to defend themselves. Teach them how to stand up to the bully. But I'm going to leave links to all this for you guys to read. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did. Until next time, catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.